Good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. Well, my guest this morning, Mr. Kalejaye, Mr. Adeboye Kalejaye, he's a political affairs analyst. Thank you very much for coming on the program this morning. Okay. Sorry, well, I'm mixing them up. One is, it is that kind of a day. Adeboye Kalejaye on this side of the house. Olushola Jagede on this side of the house. He was wondering, should I now just adopt this name and go ahead and say good morning? Thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll look at two quick subjects today. One of them in particular. Now, the Petroleum Industry Bill became an act. It's a full-fledged law now, but the president has still, found need to write to the National Assembly. He's seeking an amendment. I imagine an important amendment. The main thrust of it, is that why do the Ministers of Petroleum and Finance need to be members of the board? They can still continue to do whatever it is they need to do without being members of that board. So what do you think is informing this? Let me start out with you, if I could. What do you think is informing this? Is it that we want to make it a straightforward commercial operation, don't let it be too government heavy, and so that people see that we're sincere? Or are there other reasons, could you think?
Well, that should be what the amendment should be about. But unfortunately, we don't think that's what it's all completely about. Yes, the president has suggested very well. We all knew that was a mistake due to maybe lack of a proper scrutiny on all parts, that they have included those two ministries, Finance and Ministry of Petroleum. They shouldn't have been there in the first place. The organization could have formed very well without those ministries. But then, when the president, in one hand, taking that out, solving that issues, but the president, on the other hand, had said that they should add additional 4 members to the non-executive members of the board of both the Upstream Regulatory Commission and the Midstream and Downstream Regulatory Authorities. So what you are going to have is that you are going to have a board that are going to be filled with a lot of political appointees. At least 6 non-executive directors. And we don't even know what they want to do in that board. They are not meant to be taking any active roles. And this is a job that only one department, Department of Petroleum Resources, this is the only job they have been doing for long years, and they have actually succeeded. But now we are having a situation whereby the board is now being increased, and that's what the president has suggested in that amendment, and we thought, we have opinion that that's just not necessary for the president to have done that. But on the other issue, that president is seeking to delete some the Ministry of Petroleum and the Ministry of Finance being part of those boards, I think those are necessary amendments.
As you see that the Petroleum Regulatory Board, and those are the 4 members. Well, I suppose it's all about a federal character, but give me your take.
Yeah, my take is that perhaps the only justification that the president may have had in terms of even including the Ministers of Finance and Petroleum ab initio was to whittle down some kind of bureaucratic control. Because once they are members, it whittles down the bureaucratic control, because the board also is not independent, it's not autonomous as it were. They will still have to pass decisions to the supervisory ministry. But the original intention would have been that if they are part of the board, it will lessen the other bureaucratic bottleneck. But then, it's also reasonable to say that it's a duplication of effort. Duplication in the sense that whether they are members of the board or not, they will still have to do some other critic analysis of board decisions based on the global perspective of the entire ministries. For instance, the board may want X billions amount of money to spend on a particular thing, but then the Ministry of Finance, looking at the budgetary provisions, looking at the implications of putting so much huge money into that board, may say, no, you cannot spend this much at this time. So what I'm trying to say is that removing them will allow them some more independent oversight. It will allow their oversight functions to be much more dynamic and much more independent. So I agree with that. But then, like, expanding the boards to say that you want to ensure that other geopolitical zones are represented. Well, it's politics. Governance is about politics. Some other people from other geopolitical zones will have been clamoring to say, why are we not included? So fine, is to satisfy the political ego of the politicians. But then, what does the economics say? Does it add up in terms of the allowances that the board members will be taking? Is that not still bottling up the entire spending profile of the board? Then also, you have also expanded the midstream and the lower stream, you know, to include other 4 additional people. But then, I as a politician will say, okay, fine, job for the boys. But then, I think the economy is in a state of comatose, is in a bad state. And then we needed not to have overburdened the finances of that board. But whether we like it or not, yes, let's give it to the president. He has proposed an amendment. The amendment will also be still subject to debate from the upper chambers, and of course, the National Assembly will discuss it. I also look at the merits and demerits, and if they find it worthy, who are we to say no? And if they say no, it's not possible, so who are we to say yes? So we're just, interested citizens who must have say in how we're governed, so that we're not governed by the reign of idiots.
The point about taking out representation from the Ministries of Petroleum and Finance, and looking at the reasonings that we've just heard from Adeboye, I don't know. I suppose you could, it depends on how you want to look at it. If they were in there, he was suggesting, and it's conceivable, that look, when whatever proposal they have, it'll then be subject to the controls or the advice or the additional knowledge of those representatives in those ministries. But if they were in the board, they wouldn't even bring forward proposals that are usually going to hit a speed bump. So I don't know. Whereas there must be merit in what he's saying. But I wonder if, without prejudice to the idea that he has floated, I wonder if this is also part of the whole business about us being seen to be trustworthy in from the point of view of, look, we're commercializing. People can come in and invest and not be afraid. And so you take out those ones. Maybe the ease of doing business thing. Could that possibly play into this?
I don't think it's about ease of doing business by including those 2 ministries in the first place.
No, but by taking them out.
By taking them out, yes. First, because it's an unnecessary duplication.
Yeah.
When you cannot extricate, you cannot remove that ministry, that board, from the Ministry of Petroleum. And when you look at the law, when you look at the heart from the beginning, it's stating clearly that the minister shall be the one to be suggesting to them. He has a power, the Minister of Petroleum, to tell them this is what I want you to consider. And many of the even major licenses, or maybe revocations, maybe of oil block, all that, they are subject to the approval of the minister in the first place. So when you have, so the minister has a supervisory authority already. So why is he sitting on that board? And besides, there's no anybody. We have so many boards in Nigeria, from MPA, NIMASA. We don't see anyone where minister, where you have to say, although the law is not saying per se minister, he is saying the representative of that ministry. But then these even authorities and commission, this new board, you cannot take them away from the Ministry of Petroleum. Exactly. They are part of it. Exactly. Because if you are going to be having a huge decision, you are going to go back to the Minister of Petroleum, then they are part and parcel of it. And we don't know what the Ministry of Finance is even doing there in the first place. Because they are not meant to be spent, they are meant to regulate. All the business aspects, they are in the care of the NNPC. And I think when you look at the NNPC Limited suggested to be registered, the Minister of Finance will take a very good role there, because these are the money aspect. But when you come to this kind of strictly regulatory authorities in oil sectors, the Ministry of Finance has no role to play there.
Well, you know, at the moment it is what it is. The President has just sent this letter to the National Assembly, and as you were saying, it would be debated. We shall all hear about it. Input shall be made. I don't know. It's one thing for the President to send. It doesn't mean that his wish will be granted. I mean, usually it should be because he would have put a lot of thought into it. But what we're saying is that that's not the way it works. It isn't automatic. Just because Mr. President has said something, it's not automatic. So I guess we'll have to wait and see how.
Yes, while we wait, let me also
Sure.
allude to the fact that it's not novel, including those two ministries, not novel in the way by which our boards and parastatals are run, either at federal or state level. And I give you instances. I have served in the boards of the Lagos State Scholarship Board. I've served in the Governing Council of LASU. I've served in that of Adeno Ogunsanya College. And I tell you that at every of those boards or councils, the Ministry of Education has a representative. You understand what I'm saying? So, and that is been the fashion.
Okay.
That, ministries, controlling ministries have representation, like to have a spot assessment of what goes on. Like he said also, it may not necessarily be the minister who will sit on the board, but then somebody must be there. So what is done in the PIA is not novel. But then to reverse it now could also spell some signals to how we govern our various boards to allow them some high level of independency of operations, which of course is good for our system.
Indeed. I think, actually, do we have a phone call? Because we wanted to go away from this. As I said, this is a brand new subject matter, and we'll wait to see how the distinguished senators and honorable representatives look at it. But even if comments were to come in later on, we could still take them, because the other thing that we wanted to also take a look at is the security situation, and in particular, I mean, the Minister of Information, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, he was, he had gone to the north, so to speak, and he wanted to find out what the progress was on the efforts of governors there to, the security situation that we have. And some interesting situations in the sense that the Governor Masari, for example, has been quite vocal and has said that, look, we need to know. We need to know exactly what we're doing. We keep on talking about banditry, but this thing is escalating into insurgency. And not only that, these people of the forest, as he calls these bandits, so-called, the way we're talking about bandits, they're actually exporting themselves to other parts of the country. So we have trouble on our hands, and even though there will be collateral damage, Governor Masari is saying that the time is now for the authorities, which was mainly federal authorities, to really get down to business and take this problem out. There will be collateral damage. He made this whole point about we are the same, culturally we are the same, language we are the same, traditions we are the same, but these people need to be taken out. That's a bit of direct speak that we haven't been used to. First of all, give me your thoughts on the governor coming out and speaking directly to the minister. So effectively, that was for onward transmission to the president.
You see, the loudest of the cries that we've had over the state of insurgency has been majorly from the south. And then sometimes the southerners are accused of crying louder than they believe. That's okay, even those that are affected are not crying loud enough. But now, it's clear to all of us, and clear to the northerners also, to know that the insurgency, what they call banditry, is becoming an insurgency. And that except there is a whole gamut of activities, of reactions and actions by governments, we may be entering into greater troubles. Today, they are already entering Kano.
Exactly.
Which of course spells out the fact that these insurgents are not resting on their oars. And then because of the capability of our armed forces to do multi-dimensional operations in terms of security, because what you have in most cases is that they are moving armed forces from one location to another to respond to, we are more or less responding. We are reactive. We are not proactive. So, and one of the reasons why we are not as proactive as we should be is that we need to go back and examine the strength of our military.
Well, the ministry was given credit by the governor in the sense that he was saying that it was the ministry, the military's activities dislodging them from their traditional haunts that are now pushing them, and he was even being specific and saying that these are the very people now worrying Kano.
Yes, when you dislodge them from this location, they move to another location.
Exactly.
So before you get to that location, they have created some damage. So what we're saying is that we need to have a multidimensional approach to our security system. We do not allow them to move into a new location. That's what I'm saying, that we need to re-examine the strength of our military. We need to re-examine the kind of technology we use in our armed forces operations. We need to re-examine the level of funding. Those are three critical things that we must look at to be able to ensure that we can man our various territories simultaneously. But right now, we do not have the capability.
Okay.
It's not as if the military are not doing their best, but then you can only work with the tools that you have.
Indeed.
They do not have enough tools. It's not as if the government is also not wanting to react or to be proactive, but then how much resources are available to us as a nation to spend on defense? Because defense is crying, health is crying, education is crying,
yes.
Everybody wants a share of it. So it's a whole lot of issues for government to grapple with. So we must now more be creative. We must be creative in our thinking, our thoughts. Otherwise, big trouble on our hands.
I wonder if that creativity needs to start from calling a thing what it is exactly. Don't forget that some of us have actually been a bit apprehensive about what are you calling banditry? This is insurgency. This is straightforward, unadulterated insurgency. But people are loath to call it by that name. And now Governor Masari is saying it is what it is. It is insurgency. And if this is not taken out, and this has always been a worry, that we can't take it out. These are our brothers. These are they are cultural associates. We speak the same language and so on. In short, the reason why we can't wield the big stick. But before we go further, we have a package on this particular subject matter. Let's just get that for overview. We'll come back, continue the conversation, and even take your calls.
The ongoing military onslaught against bandits in Zamfara is bringing some respite to the state. Bandits are now said to be fleeing to neighboring states in search of cover. Haruna Dederi from Kano State rises on a matter of urgent public importance. He seeks assistance for his constituents and other Nigerians who are now being killed or molested by suspected fleeing bandits along the borders.
If measures are not immediately taken to stop the activities of these bandits in Rogo local government area and other border local government areas of Kano State, their nefarious activities could spread to other local areas of Kano State, thereby upsetting the relative peace enjoyed by the state.
His colleagues from Abia and Kogi states also have sad tales to share.
The bandits also that were flushed out of Niger State have moved to Kogi State. Just this week, a white man was kidnapped at the headquarters of my constituency.
The House resolves to urge the federal government to expand military operations in a coordinated and simultaneous manner to cover all states that bandits from Zamfara now run to. A bill seeking to exempt the police from the contributory pension scheme passed second reading.
Bill seeks to amend Section 5, subsection 1, paragraph A of the Pension Reform Act of 2014 to include the Nigerian police among those categories of services personnel that are not part of the Contributory Pension Act, like the Armed Forces, the DSS.
Members also gave support to a motion on the urgent need for the country to address its falling standard of education.
House is resolved to urge the Federal Ministry of Budget and National Planning to give further considerations to education in the subsequent budgetary allocation in order to attain UNESCO projection by 2030.
The lawmakers called on the federal government to relocate the Yola Correctional Center to its permanent site in Yolde Pate area of Adamawa State. TVC News, Abuja.
Okay, I was just looking at the notes here. As I said, Governor Masari was speaking when Alhaji Lai Mohammed, Minister of Information, had visited, and he said that security measures adopted by the Masari-led government in combating banditry were yielding positive results. But the Northwest governors, we are finding out, they've been reviewing issues surrounding the failure of many efforts to take out this problem, and probably they're now a bit better placed to look at this. But the main thrust and suggestion from Governor Masari is that, look, there are over 150 bandits camps in adjoining forests of Katsina, Zamfara, Kaduna, Niger states operating independently, and that we need to get to grips with this. Now, whether or not the authorities are about to go there is another problem, because there's been this foot dragging, I don't know what else to call it, because of reasons that we all know that, wait now, they're not enemies in the classical sense. It's a different thing if there was a war going on, and this is a non-Nigerian, and but that is the way they're treating this as well, perhaps. Exactly.
I think that's what has been known for a long time, because if it has been a conventional kind of arms welfare and people carry arms, these people are not bandits. We all know they are not bandits. In fact, traditional bandits don't even carry this kind of a weapon that can even bring down. And besides, in most cases, they don't even steal anything. They now kidnap
for ransom.
For ransom, because and those are the kind of strategy of insurgents right from time anywhere in the world, to kidnap for ransom. That's one of the way they raise money, and the way we have now allowed this thing to become a full-blown business, and they are just thriving because due to the failure of government to decisively deal with these people, and they keep on expanding as well. People are beginning to see the reason to join them.
Lai Mohammed was, at that meeting, the governor seemed to be dropping some hints. Again, if you look at a direct quote, that, look, you go ahead, nobody will complain to you on religious or tribal grounds, and I'm quoting directly here. We are the same people, same language, same culture, same tradition. We have certainly become enemies of each other, the good ones on this part and the bad ones on the other side. So the governor is, calling it like it is. Say, we know ourselves. I am as Fulani as anybody else, but this thing is not working as long as we're going to be calling them bandits, and we're therefore not going to be doing the needful. It now remains, as the English used to say, who is going to bail the cat?
Yes, I'll put it up this way to say that who is fooling who?
Aha, okay.
Who is fooling who? We are fooling ourselves. Whether you are my direct blood brother or my direct blood sister, the moment you take up arms against me, we are no longer brothers or sisters. We're already enemies. So you cannot come and disturb my peace.
But I think the federal authorities are making a distinction between the enemies and... because, as you know, if what you are saying were to hold sway, we won't have captured Boko Haramists, let me call them that, being pardoned. A lot of people are still complaining about that.
You see,
you say you captured them, you say they're no more, you've indoctrinated them, and now you can put them back into society.
It's pure double standard. Pure double standard. An enemy is an enemy, a friend is a friend. When people are killing their fellow human beings all in the name of speaking the same language, having the same culture, and they are disturbing their peace, they are holding them hostages, they are claiming ransoms, they are doing all of this. I still call them friends. You still call them your people. What I think should happen is that we need to now accept, especially coming from a governor who is from that territory, to say these people are no longer bandits, they are insurgents. So if we agree from now on ongoing that they are insurgents and that they should be treated, so let's keep up arms against them. We can't allow them, because my own fear is this: God forbid, the way these people are moving, they are moving from one state to the other. They are not resting. It started from the Sambisa forest. It's moved away from Sambisa forest. It's gone to other states. Zamfara is affected. Benue is coming in. Now Kano is hitting Kano. So who will say? So for us in the south also, we cannot wait.
No,
because already, except until of recent, when we had the local vigilante, the local Amotekuns who are also rising up to the occasion, the entire West was almost being ravaged.
Okay, let me take Mustafa. Mustafa has called in from Abia State. Did I get that right? Good morning, Mustafa. Mustafa in Abia State. Good morning. Okay, he's out. The governor is saying, Governor Masari was saying to Alhaji Lai Mohammed that there are over 150 different groups in all those forests. So, you know, we have a big problem. And as the governor was saying, I think his main thrust to the governor, to the minister, was that if we're going to do a good job, there will be collateral damage, and we have to prepare our minds for that.
You see, that also tells us our failure in the past.
Yes.
We have allowed forests to have lied fallow. In developed countries of the world, the forests are not allowed to lie fallow. They are turned into farmlands. They are turned into you know, useful ventures. If you travel,
there are forest reserves, you know.
Yes, you can reserve forests for a purpose. And that purpose for which you reserve it for, you must keep it, you must maintain it.
Okay, could I just interrupt you? I beg your pardon for doing so. Felix in Kaduna wants to join the conversation. Good morning, Felix.
It's not Felix Illa first, it's Illa Serki.
Good morning, sorry.
It's Illa Serki, good morning.
You're trying to tell me something.
Hello?
I didn't catch it. Is that Felix from Kaduna?
It's Illa Serki.
Oh, Iliasens. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank God, Governor Musari. Good morning, everyone, first.
Good morning.
And thank God, Governor Musari is coming up with this. You remember there was a time I said this during Kagara school children abduction.
Yeah.
I said the government is downplaying of this whole insurgency and banditry. We all know it for a fact that these guys are well armed and their numbers is up to 50,000 as we speak. At the time, the number were very small and they barely have arms and supplies of weapons. So now they've had a large armory where they've stored weapons for a very, very long time. The proceeds of the kidnapping for more than 4 years, 80% of it has gone into purchase of arms. So now you should tell me, how will a government that has less than 150,000 boots of soldiers be able to tackle this head on? With the landmass of 300,000 square kilometers, that's the entire Northwest. If you put Niger alone has only 80,000 kilometers. So how such an army be able to work this bandit out? Would this not? Let's be honest with ourselves. The operation is they cannot achieve success on the go as people are expecting it to be, because we didn't have occupying forces after chasing them out to monitor those communities that have been taken back as bandits. And these bandits does not travel on the road. They travel on the footpath, on the stock routes. They don't travel on the roads. You don't see them. Some of them do not come to cities for 6-7 months. Some of them have been in the bush for over 3 years. So for such people to be able to inhabit forests along very, very large forests and thick forests, you can't see somebody in 3 to 4 meters away from you.
Well, okay. I don't know. I think, should we take a break now, just so we'll be, away with that. We'll take a quick break. Stay with us, please. When we come back, we'll be uninterrupted till we get to the top of the program.